Legislators continue to weigh in on the new Redistricting Commission. Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Sonia Shrivastava.
And I'm Patricia Vallone. Thank you for joining us. Well, just a day after Governor Larry Hogan unveiled his redistricting plan, some are weighing in on it. Congresswoman Donna Edwards says she supports the idea. Hogan said during a news conference yesterday that he has formed a bipartisan commission to reform the process of redrawing Maryland's legislative boundaries. They'll aim to give power to reset the lines to an independent panel. Authority to set districts now rests with lawmakers in Hogan, who called Maryland home to the most gerrymandered districts in the nation. Congresswoman Edwards says she hopes his plan will fix that.
A rule and part of my history for many years, I've long supported the idea of an independent commission doing our decennial redistricting. I think it's really important for transparency, for upholding the values of and principles of the Voting Rights Act, and ensuring that communities are able to participate with other communities of interest and get fair representation. And so I look forward to seeing the details of how a commission would work here in Maryland.
During the news conference, Hogan also said he plans to submit legislation to the General Assembly next year based on the commission's recommendations. Well, Governor Larry Hogan's decision to create a committee to study redistricting is getting a lot of support from government watchdog groups and many minorities.
That's right. Former Delegate Ayesha Braveboy has been an outspoken critic of gerrymandering, and she joins us now to talk more about Governor Hogan's decision. And Ms. Braveboy, welcome to you.
Thank you.
What's your initial reaction?
You know what, before we start, I just wanted to send out my thoughts and prayers to Governor Hogan and his family as he battles his third round of chemo. So we are
certainly all of us
pulling
do.
for him.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So what are your thoughts on his decision?
Well, I'm really happy that the state is moving forward with a commission. You know, as a delegate, for 3 years, I sponsored a bill to create a redistricting commission, and that bill was never voted on in the House of Delegates. I believe we had the votes to pass a bill, but there wasn't the political will from the folks who make those decisions to move forward with this effort. So I'm happy that the governor chose to exercise his power and issue an executive order creating this commission.
No, many minority groups said that the last redistricting actually divided many communities, particularly African American and minority communities. Tell us about that.
Well, let's first look at, we can go many places, but let's look at what happened in Montgomery County. In order to make the 3rd congressional district a stronger Democratic district. The 3rd congressional district, as you know, is located in really Baltimore County. Now that district stretches through about 4 or 5 jurisdictions and grabs minorities in Montgomery County to make it a quote-unquote safe Democratic district. It was already a district that was represented by a Democrat. They had a large Republican voting base there too, but it was represented by a Democrat. And instead of just allowing the political process to play itself out, those who were in power decided, let's rig this a little bit more so that we can ensure ourselves a democratic outcome. And unfortunately, what that did was it impacted the minority population way across the state in Montgomery County and broke them apart from the rest of their district, which was mainly Congressional District 8.
And you're referring to Latino communities?
Latino and African American communities, yes, and Asian communities. Montgomery County is one of the most diverse counties in the country. And it was represented by Donna Edwards at one point from the 4th Congressional District and Chris Van Hollen in a district that in 2010 was a majority minority district. Congressional District 8 was a majority minority district. And what happened was when they decided to remove Donna Edwards out of Montgomery County and place her district in Anne Arundel County, Montgomery County ended up being in 3 different congressional districts, none of which are majority minority. So you have a county that has a growing minority population that does not have a fair opportunity to elect a minority to represent them.
Ms. Braveboy, the governor is keeping his campaign promise
Yes.
for redistricting reform. Given that Maryland is predominantly a blue state, do you think a Democratic governor would have done the same?
No, I think there's a lot of power. Unfortunately, there's a lot of power in that the governor has, especially when working with a legislature from their own party in the redistricting process. For congressional lines, yes, the legislature ultimately makes a decision on what the map should look like, and they pass a bill, and they could actually pass a bill that doesn't look like the governor's bill, but that's highly unlikely. Usually all of these things are worked out in the back room before the map is presented to the General Assembly, and once it's presented, it's a done deal.
And we want to clarify, you are a Democrat yourself, and you're saying you just don't think it would have happened with a
I don't
Democrat.
believe it would have happened unless it was a Democrat who made it a campaign issue and a promise. And unfortunately, we didn't hear that from our Democratic candidates
All
for
right,
governor.
Ms. Braveboy, unfortunately,
Thank
we
you.
are out of time for the interview, but we appreciate your thoughts on this
Thank
issue
you.
all the time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And if you'd like to submit input on the issue online, you can log on to governor.maryland.gov/redistricting-reform. Well, while some counties are seeing a spike in heroin use and overdoses, Prince George's is not, and that according to Sheriff Melvin High. He was part of a roundtable discussion along with other law enforcement, nonprofit organizations, healthcare providers to address drug use. Participants talked about strategies and solutions to the problem. High says even though the county isn't seeing an increase in heroin use, it's important to stay ahead of the issue.
Certainly, we know we're not immune to it, and so we want to be forward-looking and getting ahead of this issue. And so being here today with a range of partners that address this issue of drug use, abuse, overdose, etc., is critical as we try to make a difference and get to a place where we don't experience significant increase in overdoses generally, and certainly in terms of overdose deaths.
Now, that discussion that High was part of was organized by Congresswoman Donna Edwards.
Laurel Mayor Craig Moe will hold a public meeting this Monday, August 10th, to address the closing of Laurel Hospital. Dimensions Healthcare System recently announced that it will turn the facility into an ambulatory care center in 2018. Now, the meeting will take place at the Municipal Center on Sandy Spring Road in Laurel. It starts at 4:30 and runs until 6:30 p.m.
The U.S. Labor Department releases new employment numbers. It seems like more than 200,000 jobs were added to the economy in July, but that's not enough to change the unemployment rate, which remains steady at 5.3%. Hiring was strongest in retail and healthcare, while the mining industry continues to lose jobs. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Sonia Shrivastava.
And I'm Patricia Vallone. Up